That don't feel good.
Doesn't look good. I was going to say, do you mind if we say it doesn't look good?
We made it to Tasmania.
I literally was having like a panic attack just watching that. I was like,
that was the worst. That was absolutely terrifying. Oh, that's the worst track I've ever done in my life. Here we are at the start of the Ring River track. It's only not too far out of the town of Renison Bell. I don't know, between Renison Bell and Roseberry the turnoff is, just kind of like an unmarked dirt turnoff off the main road. You come 100 metres, then you come to the sign, the start of the track. Now the sign is there which says Ring River track is classified extreme grade 4 as it contains steep holes and potentially dangerous river crossing. A minimum of 2 well-equipped vehicles per trip is recommended. I think the main reason is you have to cross the Ring River, which is quite a big river crossing, which is fine when there's not a heap of water around, but it rises very quickly. Plus there's quite a few bog holes and rocks and ruts and everything else in this track, so it could be in for an interesting day. We'll air down here and then we'll start heading in. Quick run through of the vehicles if you are new to watching these videos. Mine is a 2019 Nissan Navara D23. It has a 2-inch Ironman Foam Cell Pro Lift Kit with 285/75 16-inch rim Nitto trail grapplers, which equate to about a 33. And it comes factory with a rear locker and has traction control in the front. My dad's four-wheel drive is an Isuzu MUX. It has slightly smaller tyres, a 265/75 R16, which is about just under 32 inch, and it has open diffs front and rear, and a 2-inch lift, which is from memory Dobinson coils front and rear, and Bilstein shocks front and rear. Now we also had a local joining us for a couple of days on the trip, who you never would have seen on the videos before. It was Tim in his D40 Nissan Navara, which is the older version of the D23 I have. His D40 is twin locked. He's got ARB air lockers front and rear. He's running the same size tyres as me, 285/75 on 16-inch rim, but his are the Mickey Thompson mud terrains. And finally for lift, he's got 6 inches of total lift, which is 5-inch suspension and 1-inch body. He has Bilstein shocks and King springs in the front, and then Ironman leaf springs in the rear. And then I won't go into the whole list, but he's got all the usual extra bits and pieces you need to go over a lift like that. Front diff drop, extended brake lines and ABS lines, adjustable upper control arms, all those bits and pieces. It's going to get more and more slushy as each car goes through as well. Imagine going in that. We come to our first sort of proper obstacle here. Obviously that's just a massive bottomless mud pit. But then you got this track around, it's like a perfect car hole in the middle to get up out of. I managed to plough my way up out of that hole without too many difficulties. Dad was up next in the MUX, but didn't have the same luck, unfortunately.
I'm not coming out that. You're done.
And so I was out with the first winch for the day. Now there wasn't a heap of trees there immediate to pull him off, so I just backed my vehicle up and we pulled him off the rear recovery point on mine. Tim was up last, but the hole was starting to get very slushy and muddy by this point.
Yeah, that's looking good there. Try what we did again, but a little bit more over the other way. Just go left hand down, bring that fire up like there next to your door and try and bring it up here.
Tim ended up getting jammed up in a bit of an awkward spot there. He couldn't really go forwards or backwards. When he went backwards, his rear tray was just jamming into the bank, and on the passenger side you couldn't really see it, but it was just sitting fully on the bank there, the rock sliders. So it was out with a winch for him. Quick little pull and he was up as well.
Yeah, that's going to be the problem. It's just going to get worse for each person.
Yeah.
Like, that just looks like mush now. That's 3 vehicles through the first obstacle. Being the first one through is good and bad, because being the first one through, I kind of have to test everything out and see what it's like. But then it's going to get a bit harder for Dad, and then a bit harder again for Tim, as each time it just gets more and more chewed up and slippery.
Now, we'd had a heap of rain the day before. On this day, it had cleared up a decent amount, but was still in and out of showers. But we could tell we were going to be in for a wet, muddy and slippery day, as there is a lot of red clay out there. The Ring River track isn't super long. I'm not 100% sure, but from memory, I think it is around the 8 kilometre mark. But it just throws challenge after challenge at you the whole way through. It's such awesome fun out there. The track is very narrow a lot of the way, with not a whole lot of room for movement. And in this red clay, muddy type terrain, there's also often not much you can do except stick straight to those ruts. After making our way through a very muddy, slippery and rutted out track, we began the steep descent down into the Ring River, which has some pretty big ruts to contend with there too, and is quite off camber.
Someone spray painted sorry on it.
Sorry.
This is the last person who tried to get along this track. Made it down onto the Ring River. How cool is this? It's like such a beautiful river through here. And you actually come out and you drive maybe about 70 meters down the river, then come up out a crossing. Beautiful spot down here on the Ring River. I think it's about the halfway point of the track. The sun's sort of coming in now. We're going to go for a swim. The water's absolutely freezing, but always keen for a swim at these places. It's just so beautiful down here, and haven't seen anyone else out here today. That's cold.
That is cold.
That is really, really cold.
From Ring River, the track starts heading back up the mountain, and this is where things start to get interesting. It gets very steep and challenging on this section. Also, just a quick warning, the Ring River can become impassable if they've had a heap of rain down there in recent times.
We're doing the track from into Montezuma Falls on Ring River Road. Now coming up out of the river is definitely interesting, and it's all wet out here because it rained all last night and yesterday. It's very slippery and it's got some steep rutted out red clay climbs, and yeah. When you get your front wheels over this bit, Dad, you're going to have to feed it a bit. So bring your front wheels up over it, and then once you feel that front, like feed a bit to bring the back up. Yeah, it was close from the front here too, you were so close.
I knew it was over, I was spewing because I thought, oh, this might be getting there. Will it do me any good to come at that a little bit quicker, Tyler?
Well, no, because it's you got your front over alright, it's just that, like, you could try a little bit, but you just don't want to whack that front end too hard. Like, I'd just a little bit harder and then just a bit more power with that once the front's up over, maybe. Like, you don't want to just send the front end into straight into the bank with speed. Now hit it. Yeah, you're coming. Yeah, right end down a bit. Yeah, you're coming. Left. Yeah.
Oh man, that was so close.
It was like starting to grip and grab there. That was so close.
I'll give it one more go.
I said maybe a tiniest bit more to help get that front end over, and then once that front takes that initial climb and knock, put your foot down.
Good job, man. Good behind you, mate. That was excellent. That was great.
Yeah, those wheels are just like, they were gripping and grabbing. So it wasn't like, a lot of times you just start bouncing and it's just straight over, whereas that, I was thinking like, it's going.
I tell you what, this track just got more and more fun as we went. We're all having an absolute blast out there. With the smaller tyres and open diffs front and rear, this is where things start to become more challenging for Dad and the MUX, and there's nothing you can really do here except straight up the ruts. And it's a fine line between giving it that power and momentum so that, you know, you're giving it a good go, but if you go too hard, then you start risking breaking things. He had a couple of cracks at that steep little climb there, but it was a no-go. Out with the winch to pull him up just that little bit, and then he was keen to have a crack at the next section of the hill. Tim was up next. The hill was starting to get very slippery by this stage, but lockers in, foot down.
A bit of a long looking mud hole in front of us, so I better go for a walk and check it out. Not sure how deep it'll be, but we'll go for a walk and find out. We came up out of that, once you come out of the river, you got a fair climb up. You got those first big ruts to contend with initially, then it kind of just like low range cruising, and now we've sort of flattened out again. Now it's in mud. No, it's all pretty shallow through here, a little bit soft, but only halfway up to your knee.
Ring River Track is one wet and muddy place, but most of them are shallow and have hard bottoms and don't really pose any problems. But then we did come to one that was deeper and things became a little bit more interesting.
This one here does have a little bit of depth to it, dunks in out the middle there, so I'll put that rear locker in. Second gear low range and have a bit of power. I'd say I'll sort of come up a bit here.
As we begin. Yep, good. You got a bit of mud.
That was a bit of mud there. Oh wow. Well, I better be here ready to pull that out. Yeah. Get out of the way. No, you're right. Nearly got you, Kai. There's like a big wave coming at us.
Yeah, I think I went through the bow one.
Yeah.
It didn't look as deep from the back. I didn't know it was that deep.
Yeah, well, I'm splashed up. Did it come up over your bonnet?
Yeah.
Yeah, it came up over both our bonnets.
Are you surprised that I made it away from
You
that?
just made it out of the way.
Yeah, I know.
That was a bit of a deep bog hole.
Yeah. And I just made it out, like running through here.
Alright, we'll keep going on. We'll find the next bog hole.
Yay!
If you're wondering what that squelching noise is coming from the back of my car, it is the rear tyres hitting the inner guards above them on full flex up. It started happening since I took that rear sway bar out. Gave me a lot more flex and helped me big time off road, but it does just touch on full flex up. When I film these tracks, I try and get in as much as I can, and generally I film every challenging and tricky bit we come to. That way you get a good overview of the track and good idea what to expect if you do want to do it yourself. But please just keep in mind that these tracks can obviously change very rapidly depending on conditions, use, weather. You know, it may be very different in a year's time compared to when we did it now.
Yeah, a bit of chaos there. We met 2 vehicles and then we met another 5, and
Remember this?
you can see from this track that there's not much room to get past people. Just spent about 20 minutes trying to maneuver 8 vehicles around each other through the one-way track. But look at this. How's this log you got to go across here? I've never seen anything like it. You got this big log here you got to put a wheel up on to get across.
Well, this is interesting.
done it.
I swear, Dad had about 8 goes of getting over that log, and then Tim and I were actually both walking off to get the recovery gear to winch him over, and he decided to have one more go himself, and ended up getting over it.
That's pretty hectic.
What is this sound?
Check that out. How cool is that?
These are really cold. Caution, really cold.
Made it through to Montezuma Falls. I think it's the biggest waterfall in Tasmania. It's about 100 metres high. It's massive up there. Once you come off Ring River Track, you meet the Montezuma Falls Track, and you have to come out the end of it maybe 2-3 kilometres to get to the waterfall, and then we'll go back the whole way along that Montezuma Falls Track. So go back past the Ring River turnoff, and there's about another 8 k's of very slow, rough, rocky going on the way out. And there was nothing too hard on the Montezuma Falls Track, but it's just like first and second gear low range, like just through muddy, rocky, slush, like nothing you get stuck in. Just gonna chill here at the waterfall a bit for a little while and check it out. But you got this big swing bridge here to walk across, which is pretty cool.
Come back at the camera. My feet are very cold. I'm in bare feet. I've been in bare feet all day because I'm the one walking all the mud holes in and out of cameras, checking depths and running the camera everywhere. It's just easy in bare feet, but my feet are frozen and muddy. How cool is this swinging bridge and then the big waterfall out behind you there? It's a pretty small little bridge.
After spending some time at the end of the track there, taking in the sights of the waterfall, we began the journey back out of there via the Montezuma Falls Track.
One other thing I forgot to say is you got the 4-wheel drive way into that Montezuma Falls, you got Ring River Road and Montezuma Falls Track. And then from the other end you can also hike in if you don't want to 4-wheel drive in either of them. You can also hike in. I think it's a couple of hour hike, and it's near the town. Turn off for that's near the town of Rosebery. So that's another option to get to the waterfall.
Now the Montezuma Falls track is much easier than the Ring River track. You could probably do this in a stock 4-wheel drive, I'd say, you know, if you had a bit of 4-wheel driving experience, whereas the Ring River you're more looking at a bit of a modified 4-wheel drive. You do still need to keep your wits about you on this track. There are a few challenging sections that can catch you out. The Montezuma Falls Track is a lot easier than the Ring River one, which is the quite difficult one. Montezuma Falls still is like first, second gear low range a lot of the way just because of how rough it is. There's still a couple little challenging bits. You got a couple of these dips down into the river and then back up out the other side, which got a few holes and rock steps to negotiate, but nothing too bad. Just making our way along this track now and out the other end. I think it's like 14 k's and I haven't got out of second gear low range yet, so it's a fair slog out of here. It is a beautiful area, but it nearly feels like you're in some sort of prehistoric jungle. You're enclosed in there all around you. It's such a cool place to explore.
How is it?
The fifth Indiana Jones. Tyler and Malachi, Raiders of the Lost Cave.
Alright, off you go. Just came across this cool little cave on the Montezuma Falls Track. There's like little tracks going through it. I wonder what, like, I don't know, there's some history out here. This used to be something for something. Some sort of railway or history out here. I don't know. I think Tim knows. Ask him.
Massive mosquitoes and a spider above my head. Not scary.
Not scary at all.
Oh yeah, going in bare feet, you know. Not like you're gonna get bitten by any spiders.
This cave goes a long way.
Oh, what the? Okay, well they're definitely spiders now.
Yeah,
now
big old spider there.
Now don't quote me exactly, but just so I can give you a little bit more history on this place rather than something about something. From what I could find on the internet, this track follows the old Northeast Dundas Railway formation that was first opened in 1898. So it was comprised of a 2-foot gauge line. It carried steam trains hauling ore between Williamsford and smelters south of Zeehan. The railway line stopped operating in 1929. It wasn't too much further and we finally emerged at the end of the track.
Finally made it out. It is right on 8 o'clock. That's a long slog. That 14 kilometres from Montezuma Falls out that track. Very long and slow going. How long does it take? Maybe nearly 3 hours, 2 to 2.5, 3 hours. But yeah, it's not a bad drive. You're better off if you can trying to do like Montezuma Falls in and Ring River out, or the other way around. Like coming all the way in Montezuma Falls and all the way back out, it's a mission. So if you can, you know, if you got the cars and the capabilities, Ring River's, you know, a good option for one way in or out. Not sure where we're going to go to camp yet. We're about to discuss that and work it out. This is our trips away. We make it up day to day as we go. We don't have set plans because times change and weather changes and things change. So we have no idea what we're going to do yet. But air up the tyres and then try to find somewhere to camp. Pretty awesome day out. We found a nice camp spot. We ended up actually coming to a spot we camped at a couple nights ago, because where we came out, we're only about 10-15 minutes from it, and given the time and we're all worn out from a big day on the tracks, so we just shot back in. This is a beautiful spot. This is just on the outskirts of the town of Zeehan, little like reserve here. But yeah, all set up, nice grassy area, got the fire going and settle in here for the night, and then we'll work out what we're going to do tomorrow later on. These solar puffs are so handy. I've been using them heaps. Just turn them on and chuck it in the swag, and then it gives you light in there for the night. How good is this sunset out behind me? It looks beautiful. So yesterday and today were the rainy days, and then I think we're back to a few days of decent weather now, which should be good. Feels so good to get back to camp and relax after a big day on the tracks.